Good morning. We'll be hiking down for just a little bit this morning and then we'll climb back up. It looks like we're going to be right over there on those mountains where you can see the trails going across. And then we'll switch back and then down that way and around the side of the mountain. So, and we'll be heading off in that direction for the rest of the day. Alright, we're nearing the end of our 1,200-foot morning climb. And this is what we see out there. Whew. I know I need to talk louder, but I can't breathe. Gorgeous. And actually there's quite a bit more view beyond this hill here, but I didn't get it before we circled around, so amazing. Hey, I just had a good lunch and just put some sunscreen on my face, so if I haven't gotten it rubbed in, I look even more grotesque than normal. I apologize. As you can see, it looks like the sun's kind of going behind the clouds a little bit here and there, which is nice. It got pretty hot earlier. I don't know, it hasn't gotten much hotter than about 80 or 85 out here the last 3 days, but man, 80 and 85 is just feeling really hot. I'm not sure why. I don't know if it's, the sun coming off some of these rocks when we're hiking on, or if it's just me not handling the heat real well, but anyway, it's good to have it behind the clouds for a little bit. So, I've been flying today. I don't know, Tiger Lily, man, she's got it going. She's in her groove, and I've just been huffing and puffing trying to keep up with her. But we ended up doing like 14 miles before lunch, which is like unheard of for us. So we've got a few more to do. We're heading for South Lake Tahoe and we want to get in a decent time tomorrow. We've got boxes at the post office, various things. One that we sent ahead from way back that we didn't need before we went into the Sierras, and Tiger Lily has new shoes coming in there, and also a personal letter that's being forwarded. So anyway, post office though, tomorrow is Saturday, and the post office is only open from noon to 2. So it's kind of classic, when we're on the trail. We're always, anytime we mail anything, we're always having to really pay attention to that. Because, the post office hours, especially in some small towns, can be pretty small. But we're in South Lake Tahoe. We figured we'd have some extra hours there. But on Saturday, only noon to 2. So we've got to try to get as many miles done today as possible so we can get in there, get to the highway tomorrow, get a hitch or some kind of ride into town. Figure out where we're going, where we're going to end up, and then get to the post office. And we need to do all that by 1 o'clock. So, anyway, that's kind of what we're doing right now. And then, to add a little extra fun to it, we just saw some hikers coming the other way here. And there is a Highway 88 up here, Carson Pass, I think. And they said there is trail magic at the highway. And we don't know. We heard somebody say they thought it was until 4, but we're not sure that's even right. So we're not sure we're going to hit it. I think it's about 1 o'clock now, or a little later. And we've got 5.5 miles to go. Plus we need to stop and filter some water. So I mean, we'll be cutting it a little close. We might get there around 3:30. And hopefully it'll be there. It'd be great to have a little extra something that's not in our packs. So we'll find out how that turns out and I'll let you know. It's almost 85 degrees out here, and look what we have come across. All right, here we go. We just found some snow back there. Ready to walk through again. A second bit. And took a little break to rub some all over us. Put some down my shirt, under my hat. It's cold. I feel a lot better. An incredible lake up there. I'm sure we're heading that direction. Well, we just came in from there off the trail to Carson Pass to this highway, expecting some normal type of trail magic, you know, like somebody have a car set up out here or something. But no, this is actually a visitor center, and they almost always provide trail magic. So you show up and they just have tables and things. They got coolers of drinks, they got snacks, they got things for PCT hikers, and you just go at it. So anyway, it was great, and they close at 4, and that's why it ends at 4. So we're about done, and we're about to head out on the trail as soon as I find out where it is. Hey, back on trail now. What a great break that was. We really enjoyed ourselves and ate a bunch, drank a bunch, and put a lot of calories back in our bodies. Man, I had a Dr. Pepper and about 5 little brownies and a bunch of M&Ms and a banana and a handful of carrots and a granola bar. Anyway, we meant to be there just a short time. We agreed before we got there we were just going to maybe spend 20 minutes, but we ended up being there about an hour exactly. Because a couple reasons. I mean, first of all, we just hung out and talked to the other PCT hikers while we were eating and enjoying. But also, since this ended up being a visitor center, we talked to some of the volunteers. They talked to us. Went in, looked around all the stuff they have inside, and then right when we were about ready to leave, and the visitor center just about ready to close, these other people showed up to do some trail magic. So then they set up their table and had some food and things, and we didn't have much, but we did stick around for another, 15 minutes or 20 minutes as a result. So anyway, it's all worth it. They had a scale inside the store. We jumped on, and I thought, well, it was kind of a cheap scale. Who knows how accurate it was. But the cheap scale that I have at home said, I can't remember, either said that I weighed 172 or 174 before we left for the trail. And that's about as heavy as I've ever been. I think probably the 174 was a little closer to reality. This scale in here said 148. So, basically means that, I've lost about 25 pounds, give or take, depending on the accuracy of both scales. So that's kind of crazy. Although not really surprising. I can tell I didn't feel like I was losing too much weight until we went through the Sierra, and I lost a decent amount of weight there. One, just because it's difficult, and you're out for so many days with just trail food, and you can't carry, enough to really keep yourself going. But also because of my little experiment during that one stretch I talked about in that video, where I carried a little less food than I even typically would. That was a mistake. But I think, I probably lost 5 pounds just in those few days. Maybe more, who knows. Anyway, so I think now that we're out of the Sierra, and I've been eating pretty well, I suspect maybe I'll be able to gain a little bit of that back, but maybe not. Maybe that's just where I'll stick, or hopefully I don't lose too much more than that. I think that's about it. We're gonna maybe do 5-ish miles tonight. You know, we don't have to. We might do 3 or 4, or we could do 6, but I doubt. Usually that late, because it's about 4:15 right now, or 4:30. Usually by 6:30, I'm like really done. Sometimes sooner than that. But after having a nice hour-long break and eating all these calories and stuff, who knows? Maybe we'll be able to do more or less. We don't know. So we're going to keep going and see what happens. There's supposed to be a really great lake up here somewhere that's just a little over 5 miles, has lots of tent spots. I think that's where most of the PCT hikers that were back at the Trail Magic are going to be heading to, and we might make it there. At the visitor center, one of the ladies, volunteers there, pulled a postcard out of the rack and showed it to us and said, this is a beautiful view from around here. And she told us kind of when to look back for it and all that, and that's what it was right there. That mountain range with that big mountain on the left. I think she just called Hump Mountain. I don't think she called the whole thing anything in particular, but it is gorgeous. So it's kind of neat to have seen it on the postcard. And now we're out here. And it also said somewhere up here, I'm not sure if it's today or tomorrow, but we'll be able to look in and see Tahoe. So I'll try to get a video of that when it comes. That's where we're heading tonight, Showers Lake. Maybe further, actually, since we're cruising so fast. We'll see. You might have seen back on that previous sign that it said not just Pacific Crest Trail, but Tahoe Rim Trail. So this section right here is both. So the Tahoe Rim Trail goes, it's a loop, and the PCT just picks up kind of an edge of it to use for itself. So they're sharing the same path right now. Alright, we're getting ready to hit the sack. You want to be on video? She says no. So we ended up doing 24.7 miles today. Wow. That's the most we've done since we've been out here. And I'm really tired. And someone is entering the picture here. You're weird. Anyway, 24.7 miles. Woo! And then when we got here, before we got to camp, I remember saying to Tiger Lily, how am I going to eat my food that's been hydrating in my pack now that we had all that food from the Trail Angels and everything? I'm so stuffed. And then we got here and got the tent set up, and I promptly ate all my food, plus a huge handful of salami. So I guess I was really hungry still. That's what happens when you lose 25 pounds in 2 months. Anyway, so then I walked up the hill just a little bit to see if I could get a cell signal since we're close to Tahoe, and I could. And there's a mosquito in here. Oh, got it. And so I spent a bunch of time up there just going through options and options and options, trying to anyway, I booked a hotel for the next couple nights. So tomorrow when we get into Tahoe, we'll call one of the Trail Angels that we have on this list, phone numbers, and get a ride in. We'll go to the post office and try to get our boxes between 1 and between noon and 2 o'clock. Because that's the only time the post office is open. And then we'll try to get to the hotel and check in. And then find a place to do laundry maybe, or I don't know if we're going to do laundry. But anyway, I don't know where laundry is. We don't have a plan for that. But try to clean up a little bit, and then maybe go get a haircut. I'm going to get this just shaved. And, yeah. And then resupply. There's a Safeway close to the hotel. So, we have lots to do. Good night. Good morning. We're just leaving the campsite. 8.8 miles to town. It's a beautiful morning, beautiful sky, cool clouds. Just saw this morning that there's about a 40% chance of thunderstorms this afternoon, which works out great because we will be in Lake Tahoe by then. Of course, we'll have to figure out how to maneuver through town in thunderstorms, but it's better than being out here in thunderstorms. It's Lake Tahoe in the background. If you can spot it back there. Zoop. Beautiful. Beautiful. Alright, we're getting close to Highway 50, which is where we're going to have to get a hitch into Tahoe. Unfortunately, we've been hiking through this for the past, I don't know how long, maybe 30 minutes or more. It's obviously it was a huge forest fire here. But boy, what a beautiful area this probably was before that, huh? Alright, which one of these cars wants to pick us up and drive us into town? Well, they're going the wrong way. There's some cars going the right way. Hey, we're getting back on trail. We managed to get a trail angel. What was her name? Grace. I think she's pretty commonly drives people out here, PCT hikers. Anyway, Tiger Lily talked to her in the front seat, and I sat in the back seat with her grandson and his friend. We talked about, these kids are like 9 maybe. I don't know. Guys, if you're watching this, sorry if you're really like 12. I don't, probably not good with ages like that. But anyway, they were young guys. And we're having discussions about architecture and about international countries. And we talked about Thailand. All of us have been to Thailand. And it was a little surreal. But anyway, they were super nice. She was super nice. Nice family. We're heading towards Echo Lake now, which is just a mile or two up here. And, you know, it's kind of mid-afternoon now, so we're not going to get a ton of miles in today, but we're just going to try to get as many as we can. So hopefully, you know, gets us in and out of the next town. We don't know whether we're going to have any success with this, but we have both been looking at each other and saying, okay, we gotta get through some of this, you know. So not sure if we have a great strategy, you know. We're just gonna try to hike as fast as we can and as late as we can and see if we can add a couple miles to what we've been doing, and you know, it all adds up. So I'd love to tell you about Tahoe, but I think I'll wait and do that later so we can just get cruising a little bit here. And Yeah, it's always weird trying to get back out here. It's like 10 minutes ago we were in town, you know, eating and drinking, and here we are. Someone just let us off the edge of the highway and said good luck, and here we are out here again. So Echo Lake Trailhead, 1.25 miles. So anyway, we'll have to get back into the swing of things. All right, we're about at the top of a nice 1,000+ foot climb that we had to do straight out of Echo Lake, which was a lake that was about, I don't know, a mile from the highway that we just entered in on. So, whew, it was a good way to get the heart pumping after a couple days of not doing much. And of course, it was on tons and tons of rocks. So anyway, I thought I'd tell you a little bit about being in town. Not so much specifically about Tahoe, but just it always strikes me as funny. You know, I'm my age. I, you know, been a professional. I'm a school teacher now. And the situations that you find yourself in, the things you find yourself doing when you're hiking the trail and you're in town, don't seem like they fit a persona. So try to make it as quick as I can. This is sort of, you know, synopsis of what went down when we got into town. So got a ride from a guy who was dropping his sister and her friend off at the trail to hike. He just happened to be there right when we were coming off the trail, so we got a ride from him into town. So he says, where do you want to go? Well, you know, when you get in town, you have no car. You have all these things you're trying to do in the right order. That'll become a little more clear here in a second what that order is. And so you're just doing the best you can. So we knew we had to get to the post office at 1. That was super important because it was, you know, Saturday. We're going to have to miss a whole day of not being able to go to the post office. So that was important, but it was like 10:30. So what do? Well, we found a laundromat that was close to the post office. And we had him drop us off there. So we're going to go in. We thought, well, we'll try and do our laundry. While the laundry's going, we'll go grab something to eat. We'll be done. Laundry will be done. We'll head to the post office. It all worked out great. Only one problem. We're wearing our clothes. And to do our laundry, we need to change into our rain gear. Because we're not washing our rain gear. That's the only thing we have to cover our bodies with while we're doing our laundry. So, where are we going to change? Well, there's no restroom in the laundromat. There's no restaurant near that's open. There's no nothing. Like, we're going to end up, you know, like we actually entertained holding up a tent in the corner of the laundromat and trying to change behind it. But there's no way. There are cameras everywhere. That's, you know, we don't want to get ourselves arrested. So anyway, we think, oh, hey, there's a Jack in the Box across the street. We'll go over, we'll change in their restroom, we'll get something to eat, we'll come back to the laundry. Well, we get all the way over there, and they're closed. Or not they're closed, their dining room's closed. So we can order food at the drive-thru, but we can't go in and change, so that just served no purpose. So anyway, we just ordered food at the drive-thru. Then, after we're done eating it, well, we still haven't we're where we need to be. We're still wearing our clothes that we need to wash. So we look up the street and there's a Taco Bell. So we're gonna head up to the Taco Bell, see if we can change in their restroom. So we do that. So here we are, these grown adults, and we're in the Taco Bell restroom, changing our clothes. You know, we go in wearing dirty, stinky hiker clothes. We come out wearing rain gear. You know, it's like 85 degrees and sunny outside, and we're wearing rain gear in a restaurant where we're not even buying food. So anyway, we take off, we go across the street, we start trying to do our laundry. And we finally get it done. And then it's about time to go to the post office. So we are tired. We're still wearing our rain gear. We can't change into our regular clothes now that are clean because there's still nowhere to change. So there's a kid at a young guy at the laundromat. We asked him if he'd give us a ride to the post office, so he does. And then we got all the stuff to do in the post office. So we get there and we've got these various packages from different places and letters that have come in, and we've just coordinated all this stuff. And so we get it all, which is a nightmare in and of itself just because I can't find them. They ended up filing and unfiling the boxes under our first names instead of last names. We're there wasting tons of time. Post office is only open from noon to 2, so we have to do this quick. There's like a line out the door of people, you know, trying to get their stuff done from noon to 2. And then after we get our boxes finally, well, now we have to open them up and go through them and figure out what we're keeping, what we're sending home, and all this kind of stuff. So, you know, here we are taking up half the post office with our boxes open and stuff strewn out everywhere. And we're trying to coordinate what's up, and then we're trying to make up new boxes of stuff to send back and out of the boxes that we have and all that kind of stuff. So it just ends up being a fiasco. We finally get that done and get everything shipped out. Now it's time to get to the hotel, which we're allowed to check into at 2 o'clock. It's probably 2:30 by then. So it's actually working out okay. So then what do? Well, now we know they have a bus system. So we're trying to figure out the bus system. So we get to the bus. We finally get to the hotel. We're now carrying our backpacks. They have all our clean clothes in them. They're piled full of additional things that we got in these boxes. So they're super heavy. And we're still wearing our rain gear. So we get to the hotel and we check in and we go in. We take off our rain gear and we shower and we put our clean clothes on and we're ready to roll. That's pretty typical. And kind of a mess. A beautiful lake we're hiking past. And we have reached the PCT 1100 mile mark. Ticking these off faster now, it seems like. And we've just got another mile or so to where we'll get our water for the night, and then we'll start looking for where we're going to tent. Found a little snake just chilling on the trail here. In this beautiful area.
Hello, buddy.
Sun's going to be setting soon.
Hello, buddy.
There's even a little bit of snow over there, isn't there? A little bit of snow where we're at.
There he goes. He was pretending.
Some down there too. And you can't see it, but we're tenting just right over there.